Today, we're going to be talking about racecraft, what I do within my own driving to minimize risk, maximize opportunities across lap 1, overtaking and defending, looking through my own F1 esports onboards, giving you a detailed analysis on my driving and thought process along the way. With that being said, let's get into the heart of the video and straight into the action. Starting this video speaking about lap 1 and of course corner 1, it's so commonly said within the industry and community as well that you can't win a race on corner 1 of lap 1, but on the flip side of that, you can also set yourself up for a fantastic opportunity to be getting an amazing race result by doing a fantastic corner 1 and lap 1 as well. So it's all about risk versus reward and what you really think you can be gaining realistically in that situation. Sometimes you can be unlucky, sometimes you can be massively lucky, but more often not, you can make your own space and make your own future as well within this situation. So I'm going to be speaking about my thought processes and how I'm minimizing risk and maximizing opportunity. After this first segment, we'll go into overtaking and then also defending later in the video. But you can see I'm starting P20 in this race. I was initially able to get a better start than Bent's. Quite simply, I messed up my qualifying lap and that's on me. So that's why we started P20 in this race. You can see I do a little weave to Bent because I know there's going to be carnage up ahead. I'm basically saying to Benz, okay, I'm going to brake early. I'm going to be really conservative on corner 1 and sector 1 generally. So just be aware, I'm going to brake early and we're not going to get involved in the cars ahead. I know that Mexico is such a tight first few corners that a lot of people will pick up damage or a lot of people will have contact at least. So you can see me up ahead looking at the space and dropping back actually. We have about 3/10 to Alvaro Carreton who's up ahead of me, quite simply because I don't need to be putting my front wing in a risky position to pick up damage, and I'm just in a place that I'm minimizing any chance of getting that damage. So you can see picking the outside line at the moment because if I go to the inside line, the car that maybe spins will block my path, but if I'm on the outside line, then if there's a car spinning or anything, at least I can cut across the grass and give back the advantage if I need to, and that won't really hurt my race that much, to be honest. But if I have to go to the grass on the inside here, I'm going to lose so much time. So you can see once I have seen that there's no car that I need to avoid in this situation, then I duck back into the right hand side of the track to try and open up the chicane exit as much as possible. You can still see I'm being very, very, very conservative because I'm on the hard compound tire. That means I'm going for the overcut strategy. What means me doing something like a hero on lap 1 has minimal to no gain, so I'm just relaxing in this situation. Now I'm starting to watch these cars being 3 wide up ahead, and of course at the end of sector 1 it's such a pinch point on Mexico that I'm just trying to understand how I can minimize my risk by being quite far away from the cars ahead, but also open the opportunity if I get that chance. I now see that Carreton is going to the outside of the cars such as Istvan Pukki, Alpi Butcher, and I can't see who the other car is. I think that's Josh Idaru as well. And that has now opened up a fantastic door for me because while Carreton is now stuck on the outside line, I'm able to get to the inside line. Again, he's looking to the inside of Pukki, and I know that door is always going to close. Pukki is going to have to turn in at some point, and they're both going to compromise each other's apex speed. So I go to the outside line and now do a really good line around the outside, and you can see because now Carreton is on the inside line, still side by side with Istvan Pukki, I'm able then to throw the car around the outside of Carreton, carry the minimum speed, and now get the exit, and I have gained a position while doing literally no risk to my race and minimizing any chance of getting front wing damage. So that's something that was really important as well. I just really focused on opening up the corners, not putting myself in a dangerous situation. I was able to predict a little bit the future with Carreton trying to go up the inside of Istvan Pukki, and then because of that, I was able to have the optimal racing line on the outside. Because it's lap 1, then I got better traction and was able to gain the place against Carreton. Now was quite an interesting situation now for the rest of lap 1 because I'm on the hard compound tyres, Caraton and Bent as well on the same compound tyres as me, but all the cars directly ahead of me are on the medium compound tyres, what simply means that they are going to be going for the undercut strategy relative to me. So they're on better tyres, and me fighting them at this point has basically no gain for my race because they're just going to overtake me in 1 or 2 laps anyway. So me just going for a silly lunge is just going to be risking my front wing and is going to have nothing to gain. So I cover the inside line here just to make sure that Caraton can't go up the inside of me, but you can see I have no intention of attacking Josh Idaru or Istvan Pukki because I just gain nothing by it, and because of their better tyres on the medium compound versus my hard, they'll re-overtake me anyway. So that's lap 1 done here at Mexico, and now we're going to be jumping over to Abu Dhabi instead. So now you can see we're on Abu Dhabi, and it's quite a different situation compared to Mexico. Mexico, I was on the hard compound tyre, having to do a conservative lap 1, but now I'm on the medium compound tyre, needing to do an aggressive lap 1 to make my strategy open as many opportunities as possible. So I get a good start, and I'm already alongside Lucas Blakely and Tamas Gao, and I'm now looking to the outside of Shanaka. I can see on the top left-hand side of my screen that everyone is on the hard compound tyres around me, so I know that I'm going to have phenomenal grip relative to these cars, and that's definitely something I always take into consideration. And while I have time to look at it on the top left hand side of my screen, I always will try to understand that situation going into the first turn braking zones, because then I know how early the other cars may brake. And now, again, this is very similar to Mexico, that I'm just looking for space, and the space has opened up wonderfully for me. I know that it's the corner 1, lap 1, so if I go back by 10 seconds a little bit here, you're going to see that I have a situation that I try to avoid going to the inside line, and I think I could have really pulled my car left quite aggressively. Of course, now Lucas has started to cut it off, and now I'm boxed in behind Shanaka, but I don't want to be on the inside line of this corner anyway, because it makes it quite tight, and going to the outside line is optimal. And especially because I'm on the medium to compound tyres, I'm going to have better grip. So you can see I have a really good racing line here, and the track is quite open to me. The reason, actually, I want to go a bit more into detail about that. The reason I want the outside line is, again, it's quite similar to Mexico, that if the car spins on corner 1 ahead of me, they will probably block the inside or the optimal racing line just by spinning onto the pathway. But if I'm on the outside of the track, I have a lot more run-off area on the outside of turn 1 that I can use, and I can control my situation a lot more because of that, and be putting myself in a situation that's way less risky. As you can see, because of the track that we opened up now, we have a fantastic opportunity to run loads of speed around the outside using the better grip of my medium compound tyres. So bear in mind, we started P19 in this race, and we can already be almost directly behind P13 in the race of Joni Formula, going around the outside of many cars. Jarno Otmir being pinched on the inside here, and I can see that, but I can also see that there's so many red arrows on the inside of me, what means I know I have to leave the space, otherwise we're going to have a collision. But getting back on the power really soon. Joni Formula has actually done the same sort of thought process as me, I think, and has opted for the outside line, knowing that he can run off the track if he needs to, and just take the advantage and to go with it, basically. So you can see I don't actually rejoin the track directly here, because I also can see that the red arrow is there on the left-hand side of my screen, and that is going to turn out to be... that is going to be Tom Manley, as you can see his end plate coming into screen. So I do try to rejoin the track. This is really important, actually, for the stewards to know that I did try to rejoin the track. Because if I just kept my car to the outside here, and then the front wing of Tom Manley never came into my screen, the stewards will probably say to me, well, you never tried to rejoin the track. But because the front wing actually came into the view, and I knew and I visually had evidence that I couldn't rejoin the track now from this point onwards, then that helps me in the stewards department if this ever got put to the stewards room. So you can see we actually have a little bit of contact, and then that allows me also to get back to the track. So it was a bit cheeky on my behalf. It was a bit cheeky, I have to say. But, you know, sometimes you've got to push it a little bit hard. And because of that, we got the illegal overtake on Tom Manley. This is actually why I have quite a lot of conversation with my engineer, whether I should give back the position or not. And we do opt to give back that place to Tom Manley so we don't get a 5-second penalty in game, because we didn't know if it would be removed or not, because to be honest, it was 50-50 and I was pushing my luck by going off the track on corner 1 anyway. So now what I'm doing is I have my battery to medium and I'm going to be cover the inside line, and now I'm going to basically be braking early, and I'm going to be letting Tom Manley go just ahead of me in the braking zone and then retake the position later on. So you can see now Tom has gone just ahead of me, the warning has been removed, and now I'm able to throw the car into the apex, carry good minimum speed. We're 3 wide at the apex as well, but then I'm able to retain the position. And just like that, I've gone from P19 to P16, and we have stretched a bit the rule book on corner 1, to be honest. But, you know, that comes with experience and knowing what you can get away with and what you can't get away with, and also knowing what you can do in that situation to be making as favorable as possible for you in the steward's room. And yeah, bit cheeky of me, but you know, that's when you get experience from racing F1 sim racing for so long, knowing what you can and can't get away with in the steward's room. And I'm very, very, very confident I would have got away with that anyway, and there was literally no steward to be about that turn 1 anyway. So you can see this is another situation on lap 1 that I wasn't sure what Jarno was going to be doing. We're just going to go back by a few seconds as well and then speed the video up to get back to the braking zone, because yeah, Jarno ahead is on the medium compound tires, and of course I want the extra position. I want to be in P15 and not P16. So Jarno does a fantastic job of defending here actually, and I don't know if he was defending against me or looking for opportunities against Josh. But you can see Jarno did a fantastic job of not allowing me to know where he was going. So I started to put my car to the inside, and as soon as I put my car to the inside, Jarno started mirroring me and going back to the racing line. So really a 10 out of 10 situation from Jarno here, because he covered my moves and made a situation that it was very difficult for me to predict where he was going to go, and then because of that I wasn't allowed to line up my car for the optimal braking zone. I still try to go down the inside of Jarno here, but I start to see that other cars are really dive bombing in the mirrors, so I start having to cover the inside a little bit more and then make sure that cars can't get to the inside of me. Going into the chicane now, you can still see we're running side by side, and now I know that I just have to carry momentum on the outside line here and then just try to get on the power ASAP. But of course, Jarno's up ahead, so he can control the racing line. He leaves me a really nice amount of racing room as well. I get a bit of wheel spin, and that is a bit GG for that position. We start turning on our battery, but of course, we're down to 30%. We're quite low on our battery levels already, so it's going to be near on impossible to have a better straight line speed compared to the other cars going down the straight. So now we are moving on to the overtake segment of the video. I can see that up ahead Wilson is on the soft compound tires, and just because of the grip that he had on the final 2 corners, I could see the car was struggling for grip quite a lot. So I had to presume that he had quite a lot of front wing damage, and it was absolutely pivotal that I was able to get past him to stay with the DRS of Bari up ahead to continue in a good forward momentum for the rest of the Silverstone race here. So I don't use my overtake button here because I know that going side by side into turn 1 has a really big risk and will be putting myself at a chance of destroying my race. So what I do is now wait. I turn on my overtake button on the exit of corner 1 when he's least expecting it. That allows me to get that momentum. Right now you can see the overtaken button is on, and we are going to know that he's going to go defensive because he has to with his damaged front wing, and we are going to be going really aggressive to the inside. We made up our mind on where we will go for our overtake before it even happened, to be honest. And before going into this situation of going side by side, I knew that I wanted the inside line, and I was going to fight for that inside line to try and get it so I can control my corner as much as possible. The reason I really wanted the inside line here with Wilson is simply because on the previous corners, I knew that he had understeer. So if he was on the inside racing line defending, there's a chance that he might understeer wide into me and we'll have contact. Wilson is a really great driver, a really good person as well, so he wouldn't do it on purpose. But there was just simply a chance that for while he has damage on his car, it's very easy to be running wide and make contact with someone. So I'm minimizing my chances of contact happening by going to the inside line, controlling that optimal line around the corner, and then I will minimize any damage while also maximizing the chance to overtake. So you can see now playing out, I go to the inside line. I think Wilson's a little bit surprised I go to the inside line. We're able to break, and now we have got the position, and we are clear ahead of Wilson Hughes. Now looking through this in a half-speed example, and now you're going to be seeing this a bit more in detail and talking through the maneuver. So you can see Wilson was automatically defending here because if he wanted to be on the optimal racing line, he would be hugging the inside curbing a lot more through this left-hander, but you can see him already moving his car to the middle of the road. We can see that, we can anticipate that, and Wilson, I think, will feel like we're going to go to the outside line here, and of course we're going to surprise him anyway, as you've already seen, and go to the inside line. I think he was actually a little bit surprised by this, because you're going to see right now he sort of jinks his car to the right and then opens up the corner again. You're going to see he comes to the right hand side here, sees that we've got the inside line locked down, and then starts to open up the corner himself as well. So great racing, great battle with Wilson, and that's just an example of how you want to take the initiative and plan your overtakes before they happen and really stick to your thought processes to minimize the chance of them going wrong. If I panicked in the middle of that situation, then I might have lifted or broke or been on the outside line, and it maybe wouldn't have worked. So like I say, have a plan, have a thought process, and then stick to that as much as you can. Now you're going to see basically the complete opposite, the same kind of move, but instead of going for the inside line, we're going to go for the outside line this time. The reason that I'm going to go for the outside line instead of the inside line is because we have Lucas Blakely closer up ahead, and of course being on the inside line means I'm more vulnerable to outbraking myself and then hitting him on the apex if he's having a lower minimum speed than us. So you can see that Josh is already anticipating this, moving his car more aggressively than Wilson was to the middle of the road, actually going quite defensive, and we're pinning him to the inside here by following his racing line a bit more aggressively. He still doesn't know if we're going to be going to the inside line or the outside line, and we have to really make a late maneuver here so he doesn't have time to react and we can take the advantage. So you can see at the last moment possible, we pop out and go to the outside line, break late, and able to carry the speed around the outside. Of course, he's going to try and squeeze me as wide as possible here, so we have to do the longest distance that is possible around this corner, but we're able to carry the minimum speed high enough that we're able to now have the inside line and then get the position up into P6 in this race. So you can see that's just an example of how it can look on the opposite side of things, and now looking through that in a bit more detail as we go through. So yes, now looking through this in half speed, we've already looked at, again, the same as Wilson. We're just going to break it down into a bit more detail to speak about my thought processes, and you're going to see I know that Josh is going to fight this really hard because it's coming towards the end of the race for lap 22 of lap 26, and this is a really pivotal moment. Additionally, that Josh has his teammate Freddie Rasmussen directly behind me as well. So of course, if Josh can help out his teammate and make me lose time, then of course he's going to do that. So as I said before, we're now following quite closely behind Josh, so he doesn't know what line we're going to be taking. I feel like I could have kept the car earlier to the left-hand side if we wanted to, because I was always planning to go on the outside line here. But again, as I mentioned, if I did that earlier, it would have given Josh more time to react. But because we're following him right now, he still doesn't know if you want the inside line or the outside line, so he has to cover quite aggressively, compromising his racing line and being quite distracted by us and his mirrors as a natural process of that as well. So that is really a key point, is just not letting them know your next move and pushing them to a situation that maybe they can feel uncomfortable in. And if you can do that, then you're able to take the advantage. I feel like If Josh always knew that I was going to the outside line here, he probably would have been able to brake later, be more composed, more ready for the situation, and then able to take the advantage away from us. But because Josh didn't know where we was going and he had to react to us in that situation, we was able to brake about, I'm going to say, like 5 to 10 meters later than him, able to draw alongside by this time we start turning in, and that is what allowed our move to come alive and able to capitalize on the opportunity ahead of us. So in a key point summary for overtaking, that is really two parts of it. Of course, the third part is quite a simple overtake where you just use the DRS and go past them in a straight line. But this is a bit more of a complex one where you really have to understand where they're going on the track, how you can maximize it, and how you can put them where you want them to be and put your car where you want to be to maximize your opportunity and minimize their chances of defending. Overtaking, there's so many ways to go about it and so many situations that you can or can't do something. But in a key point summary for overtaking, try to put them in a position that they don't know where you're going to go next, and if you can do that, you will have the advantage, you will have the high ground, and then you can use that to overtake them as efficiently as possible. But also, while you can, minimize the risks of having a crash, having contact, as I did with Wilson earlier. Like I say, he's a fantastic driver, fantastic person as well. But of course, if cars are fighting hard, maybe he would have missed his braking point on the inside line. If I tried to go around the outside, we would have had contact, and maybe it would have hurt my race. So by going to the inside line in that situation, we just minimize the chances of something going wrong. So now into the final part of this video, what's going to be about defending and giving you some on-track examples and talking you through the thought process I'm having. So today we're on Spa, and this is during the 2023/2024 season again, and you can see that we're on the hard compound tires. The car behind of John Evans is on the soft compound tires, and I really have a difficult situation to defend because we're really close to the car ahead, and of course John is going to be attacking us into the chicane. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move my car to the inside line just marginally, so then he has to go with an option of inside or outside. Again, just being a little bit unpredictable in the situation to have to make him think on his feet rather than making his life easy. He's going to choose the inside line. You're going to see his arrow here start popping up the inside line, and now he's fully side by side with us in the braking zone. So what I'm going to do, once I have recognize that, I turn to the left, open up the corner as much as possible, and then carry as much speed as I can around the outside. You can see his front wing is there now, and now we're just on a traction race on the exit. He does wheel hook us quite a lot here, and if you don't know what wheel hooking is, that's when you make contact with another car's rear tire, and that basically slows them down on the exit of the corner by giving them wheel spin. But we was able to still have enough traction, and now side by side on the straight. I think he didn't have that much battery in that situation for the overtake button usage, and that is what allowed us to get back ahead on the straight. But because I knew he was being quite aggressive in this situation, as soon as we're ahead, we cut off his line and we basically reclaim the inside line going into turn one, and we're able to keep our position because of this. Going through this in a much more slow-mo example so you can really see what's happening, you can see that Daniel Bresnay is attacking John Evans here, and John Evans is getting ready to attack us. So with that being said, we're going to be putting this to 0.5, and Ismail Fassi is up ahead on the medium compound tires. So we have a big difference in the tires, John being on soft, me being on hards, and Ismail being on mediums. I'm not looking to attack Ismail here, but as I said, just moving my car, being a little bit unpredictable, so John has to be the one thinking about the situation, and I can see that he goes down the inside. As soon as I can see that he's committed to his line, I'm going to move my car to the outside line to open up the corner as much as possible, releasing the brake, running as much minimum speed during the corner possible. And then when you're on the inside line like this, it's really, really, really important to stay calm, get the car rotated, and to not get any wheel spin in this moment of the corner. Because if you get some wheel spin, then quite simply, it might be GG, and they will be easily able to pass you just from getting a better run out of the corner. but by just minimizing any wheel spin, then you're able to get that traction back, and we're able to accelerate out the corner really, really nicely. And that is the situation done for this first part of the defending. Like I say, key point summary: be unpredictable, try to make them think on their feet rather than making, I should say, letting them think for you. And if you can make them think about their situations and you know what you want to do anyway, then you're going to be having the advantage and you can really carry that forward with you. Yeah, the final two examples for this video come in Zandvoort in the wet weather condition, then later in the dry. So we're defending against a very, very fast Jake Benham here, and we are going to be having to control the corner as much as possible and get our elbows out to defend this position. And you can see going side by side into turn one, and we recognize where Jake is, and we're pushing him towards the outside line. We do leave him racing room. In the rule book, it basically says one tire still needs to be connected to the white line, but we know that the curve is more slippery than the normal part of the track. So what we do is we position our car in a way that means his outside tires are going to be on that curbing, and it's going to be costing him traction and grip compared to us, and that's going to give us the advantage to get a better run onto this micro straight. And that's exactly what happens. You can see side by side, and then because of the traction he lost by using the curbstone, we're able to get better momentum out of the corner, and that allows us to get the inside line fully for the right hander. And this is where we're super committed. I know that if we go into the banked left-hander after this following right-hander, it is game over, and he's easily taken the position if he has the inside line. So we run a lot of minimum speed into the corner, and we can see right now that we're going to have the track position over him if we get back to the power. So you can see the green bar just slightly in the middle of the screen, and we start getting back our momentum, and we are going to be covering off the inside line by traveling a shorter distance with more speed, and we're able to cover off the inside line and get there before Jake can. You can see this was quite risky, to be honest, because it could have gone wrong, but fortunately we was able to gain enough momentum in the middle of the corner to get fully ahead of him before the braking zone, and then fully claim the apex how we wanted to. And by doing that, we was able to retain the position against a very quick Jake Benham. Now look at this in slow-mo as well. So you now see in slow motion of the whole maneuver, Jake is looking to the inside line at the very start of the straight, but we're covering that off adequately and not leaving him the space. He goes to the outside line, but we are always watching here and making sure that his front wing is alongside with us. I know that if he's fully behind us, he can switch to the inside line at a click of a finger and catch us napping. But because he's always alongside us in this situation, that means he is forced to the line of being on the outside, and he won't be able to undercut us before the braking zone and get to the inside line because of that. And that's what I'm always watching down this straight, is making sure he's not going to do something sneaky and do something extremely clever, to be honest, in the situation to catch us napping. And once I know that he's committed to the outside line for the braking, I can see his arrow. He's braking later than us. We're able to roll off the brake pressure just minutely, carry more minimum speed into the corner, always watching where he is, and then, like I say, start squeezing him to the outside curbing so he has less grip on that painted surface, and we're able to get better traction as a natural result of that, have the inside line, and then roll more minimum speed during the corner, retake full ownership of the racing line that we want, and able to get back into the position that we are defending, you know. So that is how you defend in that situation, and my thought process in that. And now go into the final example of the video, and I believe it will be against Ismail Fassi. Final example of the video, now defending against Ismail Fassi. You're going to see going down the back straight. I'm on the hard compound tire, and most cars around me on the medium, so I'm really on less grip, and I'm really having to work hard to be defending as much as possible. Spoiler alert, I do end up losing the position, but I still want to show you this anyway, because it is a good example of what you can do to increase your chances of retaining a position, even if it's quite low low on the opportunity. So what we do is we leave the inside actually open for Ismail here, hoping that he actually starts to not realize what we're doing, and hoping that he starts to nap on the straight basically, and is not aware of what we might be doing with our strategy. So as soon as now he's ahead of us, we start using our battery again, holding him tighter to the inside line so he has less radius and opportunity to carry more speed through corner one, and then we're ahead of him by the time we get back to the braking zone, and we're going to try and carry the speed around the outside, but we're just not able to get fully with the grip being on the hard compound tire. And again, he's going to be fighting us, but I actually make a mistake here, to be honest. I do touch the tire of Ismail Fassi in the right hander. That gives us a snap of oversteer, and that means that we lose momentum. Just quickly looking over that little bit of example again, you can see here that our tires become interlocked, and again, this is completely my fault because I turned into aggressively here. We made wheel-to-wheel contact, and you can see I get a snap of oversteer because of that, and that made me lose the position ultimately. But again, the whole example is quite positive, and it's quite good to use in this video, so I will, even if I did lose the position. And now we're going to be looking over that in a slower replay going forward as well. So coming into the banking here, exiting the lap 18 here, so I can see up ahead that everyone has a better tire than me, to be honest. Ismail has a better tire being on the mediums, and now I'm going to be really vulnerable, and no matter what I do, Ismail is going to have a chance to attack us and take the position. So what we do is we leave the inside open here in hope that he starts to become sleeping and he doesn't realize what we're going to be doing. So yeah, in the hope that he doesn't realize what we're going to be doing, and you can see as soon as he's up ahead of us, we start using that battery again, and we're going to be catching him a little bit napping on the straight because we're able to get back fully ahead of him before the braking zone, just minutely, and we're able to be back. Let's see, it's literally going to be 16 thousandths of a second in the braking zone we got the track position back by, but still it's a great opportunity to be getting the position and be staying in P11, rolling the speed around the outside. Ismail is incredibly fair with us, leaves us the racing room, and we're able now to get back on the power side by side up into the right hander. But of course he has the inside line. It's going to be quite difficult for me to overtake in this example, but again, I make the mistake, I touch the contact with the wheels, and that's what ultimately cost me the chance to be back ahead of Ismail Fassi in this example. So, key point summary of defending. It's the complete opposite of attacking. Obvious statement, I know. So, key point summary of defending. It's the complete opposite of attacking. Obvious statement, I know. But something that's really important, that when you're defending against a car, you know your clear objective. You're not fighting cars that are 1, 2, 3 seconds a lap faster than you, because that's just going to hurt your overall opportunity in the race as well. Understand what cars you can fight, what cars are silly to fight, and what cars can be actually helping you in a race. For example, if a car is on a better tire than you, you might be able to follow them with the DRS and actually lower your overall race time by using the advantage of their slipstream and DRS within the F1 game, because we know that those features are extremely powerful for lap time potential. The other areas of defending really just come down to forcing the other car to be where you want them to go, and understand your clear plan of action once they go in that position. Try not to panic, because if you panic, more than likely you won't win that situation between them, or between you and your rival, I should say. But if you're able to have a plan of action, stay calm, stay clear in the head, then you're more than likely going to keep the position ahead of them. That's the video concluded. Overall racecraft and how I approach it, minimizing the chance of damage or something negative happening, while also maximizing the opportunity to be gaining positions, and of course the net race result. So, I've been Brendon Leigh. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Grazie, ciao ciao, bye bye.